That's right. Well, I suppose I hope for a world which is in which everybody is rational and believes things only when there is evidence in favor of them, and does not believe things because of tradition, authority, scripture, revelation, but only because of evidence. And quite a lot of people are already in that position, and they're increasing, and I think I want to live in a world where everybody is like that. It's more of a hope than an expectation at present, but I think things are moving in the right direction, and let's all try and make it happen.
Excellent. Last one. We have time for one more. Yes, sir.
Thank you. As someone who reasons so strongly, I'm curious, why do you feel so strongly or seem to feel so strongly about Wilson's turn on inclusive fitness?
Oh, gosh. Do you want that at the very last?
I was just going to, the moment he said that, I said, wow, we have time for one more after that.
I mean, I can do it, but it takes 10 minutes. I mean, I don't think it's sensible to try to this is a fairly esoteric biological question, which I'm very interested in. Well,
it's up to you. Do you want him to do it?
Okay. The theory of inclusive fitness is due to W.D. Hamilton in 1964, and he argued that because genes are shared by collateral kin as well as by lineal kin, cousins and siblings and nephews and nieces, as well as by children and grandchildren, any gene which causes an individual to behave altruistically towards any relative has a chance of being passed on because it is shared, statistically speaking, by that relative, provided that the benefits and costs are favorable. Specifically, RB has to be greater than C, where R is the coefficient of relatedness, which is an index of the number of genes shared. B is the benefit to the beneficiary of the altruism, and C is the cost to the altruist. Now, this principle that Hamilton discovered is actually inherent in the neo-Darwinian synthesis. It follows logically, mathematically, inevitably from the neo-Darwinian synthesis of the 1930s, which all modern biologists accept. You cannot disagree, you cannot say, I don't believe in inclusive fitness, unless you disbelieve in evolution altogether. If you're an evolutionist at all, which Wilson is, this is Edward Wilson, E.O. Wilson, one of the most distinguished living biologists. Wilson is a Darwinian. He accepts the modern synthesis, but he now wants to reject his earlier acceptance of inclusive fitness because he doesn't see direct evidence for it in the animals which were the sort of poster boys for inclusive fitness, namely the social insects. I think he's wrong about the social insects, but even if he's right, all that would mean is that the B and C terms of the formula don't favor altruism in the way that the kin selection, that the inclusive fitness theory would expect. To attempt to disprove the inclusive fitness theory, as opposed to the ordinary Darwinian theory, the classical fitness theory, by looking at real animals would be equivalent to Pythagoras going out with a ruler and measuring hundreds of right-angled triangles to see whether Pythagoras' theorem is correct. Pythagoras' theorem is correct because it is logically proved. You cannot escape Pythagoras' theorem. It's proved once and for all time. All right-angled triangles in a plane surface obey Pythagoras' theorem. All animals and plants obey the law of inclusive fitness. They don't all show altruism towards their siblings or nephews and nieces because the B and C terms in the equation don't favor it. But the R term, that's the index of relatedness, is always there, tending to push them in the direction of altruism towards siblings and cousins, etc. But it only actually shows itself if the B and C terms of the equation, which are economic parameters of the ecology of the animal concerned, they have to be favorable as well. So Wilson and his colleague Novak and another colleague wrote a paper. It was published in Nature, in which Wilson sort of took back his earlier enthusiastic acceptance of inclusive fitness. This paper, I mean, I don't like talking in terms of numbers of scientists. We don't do science democratically, but nevertheless it's worth mentioning that I think more than 100 reputable biologists in the field signed a joint paper dissenting from the Wilson view. He's on his own. He's a great man, but he is on his own. And it seems to me that quite apart from the number against him, he's got to be on his own because, as I said, it is a logical deduction from the neo-Darwinian synthesis of Fisher, Haldane, Wright, and the other founders of the neo-Darwinian synthesis, which Wilson accepts. Nothing more to say.
I would like to thank you so much for coming and speaking with us and sharing your evening with us. We profoundly appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, Richard Dawkins.